Guys, back. Okay, so you will notice a little slight change. Apparently I don't have Unity open. Well, I fix that. Okay, the slight change will be that this is Windows 8, obviously. If you are running a Mac, there's no difference. The only difference that you will see is that this will obviously look a bit different, and since it's a Windows 8 program, obviously it's our Windows program. It's just Visual Studio Express. If you do have a Windows computer and you do want to know how to install this on Windows computer and make it work with Unity, so you can open scripts by just left clicking them without having to set up the whole without having to have it open first and all that stuff, without having to do anything, just work as Moan developed, but have Visual Studio Express 2013. The way to do it is I've made a video. I don't know how back you need to go, it'll be quite a few videos back. You can also just search it on YouTube too, and it would probably be called something like how to install Unity, no, not Unity, how to install Visual Studio Express 2013 in Unity, and there should be a video. I made one about it. Yeah, so you can watch that. So today we're just going to be going through a few things. We're going to be going through how we can detect clicks. Now, I know many of you will realize, wait, there's something different with this. Because in Unity, you can detect clicks through using a button component. Why are we not using a button component? Well, the big problem is that when we want to switch two ones around, so we want to switch 0 with 1, what do? We can't use a button component then, because buttons can only detect the left click, they don't detect any other. Don't know why they made it that way. So we actually have to build something different. Don't worry, it's not too hard. But we'll be going through it. Okay. So just let me check if I'm actually recording my audio. Good, okay. I've been thinking about maybe putting some music over this, but I don't want it to get flagged and stuff, so I don't know. I'll think about it a bit later. If I'm streaming, I'll probably will. So let's go through what we need. So we have our click detector, and I've got all the scripts on the right for me, just to make it easier so I can copy them down without having to remember everything. So we've been going through simple things. I don't know if I covered this last episode or if I just copied them in beforehand, but basically these are just so we can set up on different things. This is quite a generic one, but it's also not very generic. But you know, you can kind of put this on anything. So basically, we'll go through this. So we have just handles, and these are very important. These just say what method you use, right? So you go put your void or whatever, the name of the function here. So it's typed there. We have a public boolean. This is very important, and this is called. Wait, what? So let's think of something else. Yeah, no, this can be used for anything. This one you don't need to do anything for. But another one that's coming up, you will need it probably. If you want to use it for something else, you'll need to change it. And we actually marked it up. Okay, it's like that. Okay. Now, what you will notice is that Unity doesn't like booleans. It really doesn't. You can't use player preference booleans. You can't do anything event system using booleans. Booleans. I'm just gonna say booleans. I can't say it. Blah. Well, guys. So, for example, in our Unity system, what we're actually gonna do is we're actually gonna detect whether or not mouse is entered. That's how we're going to do it. So instead of doing all these raycast stuff, we're just going to say, have you entered? And since we're already doing event systems, it's pretty easy on each object that we want this. We just put this on each object. And on this object, we go, okay, you've entered. So what we do is we actually go a little event trigger, and we say, when mouse enters the object, or the UI object, then just say, hey, ding, you've entered. You just turn on this boolean. You say it's true. When it exits, you say it's false. Simple as that. This does have a slight problem sometimes. For example, if the object's gone, so I'll be going to that a bit later. But not right now. because that's not... No, I'm so confused right now. With how, because I've got two scripts that work kind of very, very similar. Detector mouse over and click detector. They're basically the exact same. They're actually not basically the exact same. They both do different functions, but they both involve the mouse in a very similar way. So I'm getting confused by the two of them. So there's no problems if mouse is objects disappearing and stuff. That's fine. But yeah, so we need this mouse entered. Make sure you put the get in the set. I'm not really going to explain it because it's kind of a bit long, but basically it's just a way so that Unity can know it can access it, kind of thing. It's a bit confusing. I don't particularly know it well myself, which is why I'm not explaining it. Because I don't really use gets and sets, which I know I probably should, but Unity does a lot of stuff for us, so you don't get a lot of practice from it. Now, mouse copy, the big problem with this is if we do it the way we have, we can't actually have a look at it. I think there is a way for you to have a look at it, but I can't remember what it is. So what I've done is I've just done a little mouse copy and just always says it's equal to it. It's not hard, it's simple. I always say if event system is not equal now, or equals now. Okay, this is a way. I don't know why I did it this way, but hey, it works. Event system is equal to game object defined event system dot get component event system. Now, there's actually a big thing here. You need these two. I don't know 100% if you need the UI, but I definitely know you need the event systems. Obviously, this won't be found. So if you're going, hey, Unity's not allowing me to see your event system, it's saying it doesn't exist. Well, that's why, because you haven't got this bit. Simple fix. Okay. I'm kind of like awkward in this position. It's because, like, my MacBook, I haven't actually plugged up to my monitor. Let's see if I can do that easily. No, I can't. Okay, well, because my MacBook is not plugged up to my monitor properly, it's causing problems. I'm just going to turn on the fan. I'll be back instantly. I'm actually quite sick today, which is why I'm making videos, because I'm going to space out with the Darkest Dungeon, so I don't have to do this every 2 days, which is my original plan. But I am still quite sick, so it means I don't actually probably get time. This is like the only time before I actually crash, like completely. So we're just checking if your mouse is entered, right? If it has, then what we want to do is we're going to handle left click, and we want to get the input, so get key. Let's get mouse button down. You can use get key, but mouse button lets you just do that. And it goes 0 is the left one, 1 is the right one, and 2 is the middle. I believe you can get other ones too, but you shouldn't really. You should just do a because most of the time on left click method. Oh, it's just called left click. Go to null. Okay, so I'll explain this. So we're saying, and we're doing the same for, actually, how about I just complete all this and then I'll explain it. Just in the same for middle and right. So I guess we'll do right here. So right is 1, as I said before, and middle is 2. I guess we probably do this. So what we're doing is we're saying if your mouse is entered and if you are handling your left click, so if you want to do your left click, this is big important. Now, I'll talk about the importance of putting your if statements in the right order, so putting the one that will be the most likely to be false before the other ones. So I'll explain that in a second. So we're saying if you want us to use, if you want to use handle left click, if you want the system to do left clicks, and if the user left clicks, then what we're doing is we're saying, hey, send our message to ourselves, and we're saying, okay, well, do this function, and if you want a value, well, we give you nothing, and we don't require a receiver. We don't want something back, right? Big importance there. Then now, in most of your functions, 95% or all your functions in send receiving shouldn't really require parameters if you're doing the system, because otherwise you could have I guess you could have a parameter section, but the problem with that is you can't give it a string, because if it wants an integer, then giving a string mucks things up. So it's better just do not. But I guess you could always give it maybe a value or something, I don't know. And it's not required receiver, it's as simply as it says, we don't want anything back. But what I was talking about with the putting the field that will be most likely to be false first, is if I put input get mouse button down first, it means if I click it, it's going to run this function. It's going to go, okay, we clicked it, and what else do we do? And even though that's a very small amount of extra memory required, it's still a extra memory required. It's still more memory. We're still using a slightly, even slightly tiny amount, we're still using some. Very same reason why we're doing if mouse entered instead of doing it here. Because otherwise, if the mouse is entered the object, why are we running these if statements? So instead of running 3 if statements, we're running 1. Instead of saying, okay, if we handle left click, and then if we handled the click button, and then if we handled mouse enter, doing it that way. I mean, that's running 2 if statements per one, instead of just running 1 or maximum 2. Get what I'm saying? So it's about limiting the amount of if statements you run. Even though it's a very small amount, if I had, let's say, 6 items plus 100 items in the shop, we'll just say shop items, right? We'll say 200 items in the shop, let's say, because of abilities and stuff. That means each one of them is running if statements. So that's 100 if statements. Seems a decent amount. Would you have 100 if statements, or would you have 600? Because you're doing the 3 per one. That seems you're doing that's a bit much. It seems like a bit more optimization than just as what it seemed before. So it's just optimizing things a bit more. That's it. That's all we need. We're done. Simple. Now let's go to this bit. Let's just get over. It says apparently we need UI. I don't know if we actually do. I know some of these I do put tags I don't need. It's because sometimes I think, oh, I'll need them eventually. I never use them. Tool tip. Function. I was gonna say this one's a bit difficult. Function ability. Now this sounds a bit confusing, but I'll explain that in a second. And we got vector 3 apparently, which is us. Don't know why it's public, but yes, that's fine. Now we need just a simple one. We need our item data. Then we call this iData. We're gonna make sure it's equal to null. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, basically we're just going to be saying here, this is for tooltips, right? So we're going to say the tooltip, the text of the tooltip is equal to the item data.tooltip, right? Because our item data has a special little function connected to it. Show you that here that says current item, right? Obviously, I'm accessing that, and in here we have something called a tooltip, and we're just displaying that. So I know it seems a bit over you jumping hoops and stuff, but it's just honestly the way I found that was easiest. So we're just going to awake function. Oh, remember, awakes happen before everything else. Okay, I know a lot of you are going to be looking at this who have built previous tooltips in Unity 4. I mean, before 4, like 3, or even just 4, before 4.6. And you will be looking at this going, this is not how you do it. And sadly, I wish it wasn't. I was going to say if to 1. Here it is. So the reason I'm saying I really wish this wasn't the way it had to be. I really wish that you could do the old system of doing tooltips. But the problem about this is that the new system, there's no simple tooltip functionality they can add to say. There's nothing. So you have to do this obscure way where you're tracking something. You're saying, hey, if your mouse is over it, then pop it up, right? You know, it sounds so obscure. It's the only way to do it. We're just going to say idata is equal to this game object, get component, item data. So when we're looking at this, what we're actually saying is we're saying if functionality is equal to 1. So what we're doing is we're having, this is only really useful if you're having shops, or if we want to do other detect mouse overs. So right now, our only detect mouse over is shops, right, is this. And the big thing is people who go, wait, what's the difference between a shop and an item? They both hold an item class. Yes, they do. But the difference is how item data works. Item data is going to be slightly different. And sure, you could do all under the same thing, but it's actually a little bit more you have to do. And it just requires it easier just to do it 3 different categories because it makes code easier. It does make this thing a bit difficult, but you're still going to have this whole thing to see what functions you grab, right? But here, our item data, we could say, hey, if it equals 2, then do this, equals 1, then do this, so on. So right now we're just saying 0 is equal to using item, and then you can add your own if, so on. And you'll be using a switch statement if you're doing more than one, but if you're only doing one, a single one will be fine. But yeah, switch statement here is probably the best, right? But I'm not going to do it just because it's not needed for me. This is just going to be a command called off tooltip. Void void do tooltip. And then we got void off tooltip. Now you go, wait, there's no update section. This is what's the greatest thing about it, right? There needs to be no tooltip upgrade section, whatever. Active section. Now why did there need to be no active section? Because we're already tracking, obviously through our click detector and through our UI thing with the event trigger, we're already tracking if your mouse is going in. So if your mouse is going in, then you can do a tooltip. If your mouse is exited, you can do an off tooltip. The reason we use us is just so we can, actually we don't ever use it. I don't know why we have us. We don't need this. You'd want that if you have your detect mouse over on a different object. Yeah, but it sounds a bit weird. Actually, don't ever use us. So it's gonna say tooltip dot transform. The position of the tooltip, this is the big one, is equal to our position. Now this is the big number right here. This number right here, I'm pretty sure that this is right. But the big problem with this is pixels. So it means that the bigger the screen is, it's not actually scaling right. But it should, I'm thinking, right? How much it is. You probably should take the object that you're looking at, how big it is and stuff. It's just, right now, I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to say, hey, just get your vector and just add 150. Dot set active, and what we're going to do is we're going to say it's active now because it's need to be active. And then we're going to say if function ability is equal to 0, then get. And then we're looking at the children because this is actually a child object. Because we actually want to look at the text. And so the text is equal to s data, I data dot current item dot tooltip. We're going to say if tooltip dot get component This may sound a bit weird. Now what we're actually saying here is we're saying, okay, obviously this is obvious, but what about this bit? This bit seems a bit counterintuitive. Don't we want to just check if the idata.current item is not equal to null? Is equal to, if it's not equal to null? Now, this is where it's a bit different. We don't really need to. Now, the reason why we don't really need to is because it doesn't really matter what order we do it. Right? So, but the big problem with this is we'll move it to the object, right? And then we're going to set it to the tooltip. If the tooltip doesn't contain anything, and then we set it, obviously we suspect that the problem with this is that we actually have to do it this way. Because if we set if functionality is equal to 0, and the text of tooltip does not equal nothing, so there's something there, then do it. But the problem with that is now you're doing it in an if statement, which is a big problem. You'd have to actually go if functionality is equal to 0, bracket, and then another if statement if the tooltip, whatever, right? So you're doing another one. And it's like, well, I'm already doing another one there, so instead of doing it 3 times, so I don't just do it at the end, right? Which causes errors. For example, it's saying it happens and then it gets wiped for some random reason. Well, it's content stuff off. Yeah, there's no loops or whatever. There's no problem. It's just content stuff off. If the value constantly changes, it's just content stuff off if it mucks it up. If something happens, it just content stuff off. That's all the code for that one. Now, just give me a quick sec. Well, I open up Unit, you'll see. So seeing consistent lines, I don't really care about the stuff. So this is where it's going to be a bit more difficult. We're going to look at event triggers. And we can't actually edit each one. This is the big problem one. Point to enter. Point to exit. Can we actually say what click is? We can't. Okay. I just wanted to check that I didn't do that wrong. We may have to do this for each one. I thought there's a different way you could do it. Oh, I know how to do it. But we're just going to do it this way. There was a way that you could like copy and paste it and it would do it right. But that would require me repositioning everything and I don't think I want to. Did not. Okay, well that's fun. What we're going to say is we're going to say 2 things. Or one big thing is... Why don't we just do this? We're just going to delete all these objects. Stick with this one, and then we're just going to go for this. So we need to add 2 components. We need to add 2 scripts actually, so not 2 components. And it's going to be detect mouse over. And you click detector. These a bit later. Event system is obviously obvious. can drag these in for 3 of them or 4 of them. And so now we're going to say detect mouse over. Wait, why isn't it working? Oh, because we didn't do it public. I was like, oh, that shouldn't be working that way, but thank goodness. Oh. I think we've reached time. 25 minutes. So how about this? I'll show you how to do it, and then I'll do it for the rest. So we go, detector. There should be one here. We'll just do detect mouse over, I guess. Do tooltip, and then on exit, off tooltip. This shouldn't be. I shouldn't do. Oh, here we go. See, is this little thing here? This is where we want the mouse entered. We want to make sure it's ticked. Can't do this if it's not that gets it. And you'll know this because you see there's no mouse copy. So that's the only way you can do that. And then what we'll do is we make sure that the tooltip is selected. I can't remember if we actually do it ourselves. So we'll add like a little object, a panel. Call this. I guess that's fine. Maybe make it a bit larger. We can call this tooltip. And then inside there we have a little text component. So we size the screen. And tooltip can have full alpha. Okay, there we go. And then we can, here we can go, okay, tooltip, and we can go tooltip here. Left click middle name. I don't think we're actually doing anything. We don't actually have an item data here. Lol. I think I'm actually a bit ahead, but we'll just go. Press is left click, so you left click it and get press. And select is right clicked. Yeah. And here's mouse copy, obviously. And you can see that you can't see the mouse entered, but you can only see mouse copy. That's going to be this for today. I will go and copy and paste these for the rest. And just kind of do this kind of thing. And I'll go do that because it's boring. I'll be back in the next episode.